Welcome to Gamblin Ramblin, a weekly show where we react and rant about the weekend in sports betting. I'm Tim Kalinowski. I'm joined by Charlie DiSturco. You can follow us both in the Action app, on the Action YouTube channel, Action Network HQ on TikTok and Twitter. Charlie, we have a guest today, Nick Martin. He suffers with us in our little group chat. He's an NHL guy, MLB guy. Really, I mean, he's a puckhead at first, right? I mean, Nick, how are you doing? Great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, boys.
I was gonna say, Nick, it's kind of like a group chat of us three, but it's really just me and you going at it the whole time. Tim just like finds his way into these group chats, and he's not even shooting a message ever. It's just me and Nick talking back and forth all night.
We'll get
I like
to that.
when Tim does chime in. You know, it's something important at that point.
No, it's Tim. It's Tim like victory lapping a shots on goal pick, like let's go. While I'm like having the worst Monday of my life. It's just Tim throwing a little tweet out there.
I mean, I'm so negative by nature, but you guys in that group chat are so negative that it's like even I have to be like, can we have one good thing happen in here? Like I
think I'm a little more positive than Charlie, but maybe not lately.
I think I'm the most negative of us three here for sure. Listen, man, like when you're on like a cold streak or like when you just can't pick a right pick, like you start going angry and tilting over every little thing. And I called, like we had the Blackhawks yesterday, like just watching that just like unfold and lose a plus 200 underdog, like I'm gonna be like Debbie Downer because it's been brutal.
I will say I've become, closer with you guys over the last couple months or so. Nick, just to start us off, like how long have you been betting the pucks? How good has this year been? Obviously your Capitals, they made the right choice at the deadline. Just give us your little NHL betting fandom synopsis here.
Okay, I think this season as a fan has been unreal. Like the playoffs are going to be super fun. It's like Christmas time in 6 days for me. So I think that's sweet. I think it's been about probably 6 years I've been pretty seriously handicapping the NHL, where I like started to really understand how it works and more than just kind of messing around. So yeah, this season, not as good as last season on that front, but there's time.
Why did you so you played, I know you play in some men's leagues and stuff too right now. Like, was it just a matter of like, okay, it's time for me to start betting the pucks, or like what got you there?
Yeah, I think we've always had it here in Alberta where you could, once you're 18, get on board. So kind of just always been a huge NHL fan. A couple guys I know started doing it and then just started betting in myself.
The United States needs to get their shit together. I mean, if you can start betting at 18, I mean, I would have been betting parlays when I was like 18, losing so much money. But I will say, and Nick, can you like maybe even talk about it a bit? Like you started Action, and I mean, you had one of the best, and you burst onto the scene like that. Quite literally, like I feel like no one really knew Nick Martin, and then like that one NHL season you had, you went banana. Like I don't even know the right word to describe how good of your season was. Can you just talk a little bit about that and just like, you like being the hottest guy in the NHL betting landscape for like a season?
Yeah, last year was unreal. So just there was a lot of trends that I think the books weren't catching on to. And as we know, the NHL are still a little lazy with like some of the roster moves that they don't pick up on. So last year there was just ridiculous closing line value over and over. The COVID situation was so good to us because it was just like there were so many look ahead numbers where you just see 5 guys go on the list at once and the price didn't move and you'd get it in and be like, is it really this easy? And then an hour later it's just like 30 cents difference. So yeah, I was lucky last year. I think there's a lot of trends I just took advantage of the whole time. And then things have been a little tougher this year. I also think I've just ran a little bit worse in terms of like that closing line value not paying off and so on.
But I'll say that, well, Nick, it's funny you say that because not having like legal bet, like I was in New York last year and we didn't have legal betting until like January or so, I think it was, whenever it was. Super Bowl. So half of the year, like you're giving these picks, and like I cannot get a line on a game the night before. And that's like when a lot of like your closing line value would come. And I'm sitting there just like, I'm like, must be nice, like where's this 80 cents of CLV. And then this, once we had legal betting in New York, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, isn't this nice? Like FanDuel lines or with DraftKings, like it actually comes out a day ahead of time. Like I get it now. But I mean, is that a lot of where you see your value come is betting the day before, night before?
I think a lot. Like last year, that was the trend that crushed it all year. Those were paying off. I think recently it's been not going as well, but I still feel like those are the right takes. And, as you guys know, those are the ones that piss me off the most when you lose and you're like, oh, this was a great side. Like, I think it should have worked out, but it didn't. And it just seems like this year there's been more of those.
Let's talk about this tilting experience, Nick. I'll start. A little bit.
Wait. I'm sure we all have the same one at the top of our list.
All right, I'll say it, and let's see if we're all number one. The number one airing of grievances here of the NHL regular season is the Boston Bruins not losing a damn game. The amount of money that I've lost on this team that has made history has gone unbelievable. The amount of close game luck that they've had, or I guess close game wins, because I don't even know if it's luck at this point. It makes so sick it makes me want to puke. Stucky texted me actually yesterday saying like, you need to go to a rehab to stop betting on the Bruins. Like, I know a place you can go to. That's how bad that it's getting to where everyone knows. And that Bruins team, and I know, Nick, you've joined me a couple of times. Tim, I see him log against the Bruins every day, and we just lose literally every game.
I was saving the Bruins because I'm a Bruins fan, and like the fact that I have bet against the Bruins. So I spent the morning writing by hand. Look at it. Listen to this, okay? Listen how much of a absolute moron I am. I'm a Bruins fan. They're having the greatest regular season in the history of the league, okay? And I'm a Bruins fan. My team is having a historic season, and I lost. I lost an insurmountable amount of money. Okay, I bet against the Bruins 33 times. I bet on the Bruins 4 times. In games that I bet on the Bruins too, the 4 games I bet on them, one of them was live, one of them was in a parlay. All of those hit, and then one was a loss. So I couldn't even make really any money betting on the Bruins. And while fading them, I was down 15.3 units. My favorite team having a historic season, and I lost money because I faded them every single fucking night.
Do you have a cup future?
Nope. Hell no. Of course not.
Oh, man.
I mean, Nick, you gotta talk about him. Talk about him.
Okay, I actually didn't have the Bruins on mine, but when you pointed out, I guess it should have been on there. But it just, maybe it'll come true in the playoffs. It just feels like when they play other top teams, the games are so close. But I guess when
they win,
you got the best goaltender, you got guys who know what they're doing. So, okay, I'm surprised you guys didn't assume that what mine would have been, because
you know what? I know what number one is gonna be.
Like
that. This is what I thought it was gonna be.
It's not even close. So I think top is when you miss a shot prop because a shot doesn't get counted that was a shot. Like, I don't think there's worse than that when you literally are like, I just won this bet, and you look and you're like, that didn't count. And like some of them are borderline for sure, but there's some where it's like that was a shot. Like, you can't tell me that wasn't a shot. So I think that's the absolute most tilting one, because you're just sitting here like getting worked over by this stack keeper.
I'll say that I would do appreciate Nick in our group chat will send us like a video he recorded on his phone of like his laptop TV, and it's like, how the hell is this not a shot? Like, this is a shot on goal, and I'm like sitting there, I'm like, I mean, it looks like a shot on goal, but I also can't see like half the TV.
It's a trained guy thing too, because sometimes I have like put videos, and I have people being like, what? You can't even tell in this, and I'm like, you totally can. Like, I think Tim probably knows it too. Like, the more I think you play hockey and like watch, you can see like the little intricacies that kind of let you tell what's going on. And I feel like for shots, sometimes that's part of it. But I guess that also explains why maybe they can't track it as well as you might hope.
Yeah,
Well,
I am surprised that we left this to Tim, this last one, because I now that you're saying it, or now that we're saying it, I know what Tim's going with.
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, Nick, with the, I have a question for you about the shots on goal thing. What at what point are you just like, you're at the discretion of the scorekeeper, or the stat guy? So are you just like, I can't bet this anymore, or are you just like, well, there's still value there, so I'm gonna keep betting it?
I've quit twice. Last year, I had like my longest. So this was when I was in really good tune. It's funny. So I think it was my only 2.5 unit bet I posted all of last season. I was big on it myself. It was Vander Kane over 3.5 in San Jose last year. Might have even been 2.5. And I put a video together, and not one of the blurry ones, a clear, concise video of all his shots in the game. He had 5 that were like, and we needed 4, and they didn't count 2. And that was when I went on break for like a month. Like I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. It's too frustrating and it's too tilting when this happens. I
remember that. I had
a couple followers reach out and say like, no, keep it going. Like we need them, like sack up. A couple of them even sent tips saying like, get back in the game. And then
now that you mentioned that,
I was back.
I fully remember that. And it was so bad. I did a whole video on it. It was, and I was really thinking like, there's no way this can be true. Like I thought even a week later, it was so egregious. I thought I was gonna get money into my account. Like I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, so that I think is like the literal worst, because you just feel like you got robbed. You can't do anything about it. And now they're taking so many shots away, they never add them. So
yep.
I think it's time to get on the under train a little more.
And I'll say, so how do you guys how did this last this long, this pick? I'm stunned. The Calgary Flames. No? Like, is that not, that's been, if we just didn't bet the Flames and the Bruins, we'd be rich. If we didn't just bet on the Flames and stop fading the Bruins, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
We should have bet.
Those were the biggest.
The Flames have been better because the save props are starting to pay us off. And the worst is, if you guys remember what I texted you after Saturday's game versus Vancouver, I said we should all be rich because we should bet the Flames game to go to overtime, the opposition goalie to go over his save prop, and then them to lose in overtime, which was like 20-1 SGP. And I said that after that game, I was like, we're so dumb. And then last night versus Nashville, literally exactly that would have hit. I don't think anyone played it.
I don't know how.
I thought they would win.
I looked at it and was like, because I know like Lieboff gave out Nashville on the show, and I was like, man, like a tie seems so real for this team, because for some reason like Markstrom is the worst goalie I've ever seen, and like Calgary scores, but I mean we took the Saros like over. I mean that dude's nuts. But yeah, I don't know. I totally blanked on Calgary. Like it was like 2 or 3 of us, but this past day I've been just brewing over the Bruins because Stucky's like texted me and is like, I mean you got to stop betting the Bees, kid. And I'm like, oh, I can't.
Oh, dude, I mean the Bruins are my team, and people are like, wow, isn't this amazing? I'm like, yeah, this is great, huh? Like, it'd be cool if they could lose it.
At least you're hedging on happiness. Like, at least like
and
the
Tim
Bruins winning is like, what?
He knows I'm roasting him if they don't win the cup. Like,
Oh,
I just text him like,
that group chat.
oh, it looks like the
is gonna
refs
be
got the
nuclear.
Bruins again tonight, Tim, and then everything.
And then
goes
like,
that.
I'm annoyed with you because you're like giving me a hard time about the Bruins. I'm like, I bet against them. And I bet against them every game. Like
I need
know,
to take it
know.
out on someone. Something to do with the Bruins organization just needs to be called out. So
I'm like, this is
Yes,
the.
that's
I am not your man. I am not your guy. Like literally. Sunday against the Flyers. One of the worst teams in hockey. I'm like, Flyers, reverse. You get the closing line value. It's just like, and then of course, the Bruins just, Pasternak just shoves it. It's just, and I'm watching.
That was one Charlie missed too. Posted the like after 2 periods, Pasta's getting a 60th.
Oh,
then,
yeah,
like,
but
naturally-
I looked for that pick. I went to Bet Rivers, I went to FanDuel, I went to DraftKings. The only one I don't have is 365 because I'm in New York, and it's not in New York, so it's only in New Jersey. So I couldn't get that bet down, and I'm sitting here like I'm like, all right, whatever, screw it. I play my video games because I'm pissed. I'm livid. The Bruins are up 3-2. I'm like, all right, maybe I'll get lucky or whatever. It's 3-2. And then I or 2-2, and then I look at my phone and it's like Pasternak goal, and I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. Like that's the word when I see that, or like Nick has like a random goal scorer that's plus 400 and like tip it, right?
Yeah,
like,
I know.
He had like he scores, and I'm like god damn it. Like I'm sitting here betting like a side. I should just be betting like a guy to score that he bets randomly. Like, it is so tilting. I'll say, and I'll do my next one real quick. My second
but Charlie, wait. Does anyone have on deck the Flames overtime record? It is.
Oh,
It's like 5-8. What was
12?
it? 5-18 or something. It's insane.
Was it 18? I thought it was 5-12. It might have been worse. My next grievance that I have to pick a bone with, the amount, and this goes back. This is really Chicago last night. They completely outplay the Minnesota Wild, who are completely shorthanded. They miss a wide open shorthanded breakaway. They get a goal taken away before a penalty and what was like a 50-50 call. And then they give up 3 goals in 5 minutes and lose it and don't even cover the puck line. The amount of times that I've bet an underdog of like 200 or better and I've like lost, and I'm just like so livid at myself that I'm like, I mean, I get 20 cents a closing line value. This underdog completely outshoots the team by like 20 and I lose. And then I do the opposite and I bet on like the Carolina Hurricanes against the Ottawa Senators and they lose. And I'm like, I can't pick an underdog to save my life sometimes. It feels like I'm literally just like going blind and just like, all right, let me take one underdog. And then I don't take the Bruins. I bet against the Bruins for 3 games with the underdogs. The one time I don't, they lose to like a 280 like underdog. And I'm like it is, I'm so tilted. I get, the group chat goes off. I'm like 17 messages. I send like a whole essay to you guys about how angry I am over these underdogs.
Those are the worst ones too, like last night when Chicago was clearly just the right pick. And then you log into Twitter and some guy's just like, how could you ever pick the Blackhawks versus Minnie? Like Minnie's playing for this. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, you're right, I guess.
Yeah,
buddy, how could you how could you ever tail the Blackhawks then? Like, get out of here.
Well, you know, just fade them all year. You'll be rich, right? It's that obvious.
I can't.
I mean, listen, if you bet the Bruins every game this year, you'd be rich.
I have no words for that whole thing. I like just believe I don't believe in them, and so I faded them every game. It's not my fault. I mean, them in Calgary. That's just the whole show. That's the whole show. 2 segments.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. All right, I'll do one. Is it me or Nick? Who's up?
Nick. No, you want to go?
Okay.
All right. Yeah, we'll leave Nick last. We'll let go.
Okay. The shootout. I'm so done with the shootout.
Okay, you got it. That's all I had left too.
Yeah, it's. I said it a couple weeks ago. I want them to bring back the tie. I want ties. Play one overtime, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. Do I wish they could play all night? Yes. I wish overtime was a full golden goal. They did it for hours, but they're not going to do that. Do not end it in a shootout. Just give me a tie. The shootout is it was cool at first, a little novelty. It was a little different. So done with it. Couldn't care less about it.
I can live with it when you win 50% of the shootouts, because I think that's what you should expect. And I looked this year and I'm like 20 games below 500 in shootouts. Like it's something absurd. So maybe next year.
We had a streak, right? And this goes back to even overtime. Like I 3-on-3 overtime pisses me off too. Like it's just because it's literally just like, I mean, what's going to happen when you have the underdog with like their first line is probably like the third line against the Carolina Avalanche? Like it's not even like Carolina Avalanche's third line better than their first line when we were throwing out the Flyers. And we're like, of course we're gonna lose in a 3-on-3 overtime. Yep. I agree. We had a streak where we lost Nick. I know we started the group chat kind of like halfway through the year or whatever. Me and Tim would talk on the show about losing. Like we lost like 7 in a row to start. Like it gets bad to where I think we're just as bad. Like 20 games under 500.
It was 1-18 at one point in the last 19. It was that bad. Just
that sounds like. That's like the NHL streak that I'm on right now, 3-16.
I can't remember. I can only remember games I lost in overtime in the shootout. It's like that's maybe the thing too, but it does. Nick, have you just filtered out just the Calgary Flames into that shootout losing percentage?
No,
I think a lot would change.
Yeah, that would probably help significantly. But even some of the ones where we'll be like, okay, sweet, we got the Avs or we got Vegas or someone who like crushes 3-on-3. It's felt like those ones, it'll be the night they let down, like lose a face.
And they have like a power play too. And they were entered the 3-on-3 playing 4-on-3 and they still couldn't score. That's how it works. Charlie and Nick, those are my big ones. Unless you have anything else to just quickly empty the clip, and then we'll move on.
No, I don't have any more, Nick.
We hit them all.
No. We had so much overlap.
Yeah, we came with a list and we literally hit every single list. That is great. All right, so let me get into this ad read here. A reminder that this episode of Gambling and Ramblin' is brought to you by Capital Tanks. Been a while since you replaced your pet, reptile, or amphibian tanks. Now may just be the time. Give up your old tank and invest in the future. Visit their website and use the code TANK4BEDARD for 10% off your order. I know the Capitals love to do that. So Tank for Bedard, 10% off on your next tank.
What's the hope we get Bedard, Nick?
Yeah, took a 1% chance hit because of Lobov's Islanders, man. It was tough.
Oh,
we were texting each other. Neither of us wanted that result. I was like, what are they doing, man? You're costing me a Bedard here. And he's heartbroken.
That was probably one of the most pathetic performances of the entire season.
It was disgraceful. And I thought the first, like, they were unlucky to be down 3-0. And then I was like, okay, I don't know. I've seen this Caps team lately. They could blow this. Bet on them after one. No push from the Isles. Just horrible.
I could not believe the Capitals lineup. I couldn't believe my eyes. And like I was flying, and so I didn't see the Islanders' actual lineup until it was 3-0. And I was like, wait a minute. This is worse than I thought. So this leads us to, both of you. This whole thing has been MLB and NHL, or this started with NHL, and now we're about to head into MLB as well. I'm going to ask you, what do you have more rope or more, ability to cope with a bad loss, or how much bullshit are you willing to take in the NHL versus the MLB? Because obviously they're both long seasons and a lot of shit can happen.
Yeah, I'll say, like, MLB, I'll get pissed. Like the Mariners are like killing me right now, there are certain things that like I'll have in MLB that absolutely sent me off the edge, like that A's first 5 where they literally had an 0-2 count and then hit 3 batters in an inning and ended up like losing our first 500. Tim, we both had that. But I will say I get more tilted about NHL bets, and I think it's because I'm learning the NHL, and I feel like a lot of my bets are like the right side a lot of the time, and Nick likes to say like he hates being the guy in the group chat to go right side, but like I feel like I'm on the right side in the NHL and I lose, and I'm just watching my record just get shattered after I built it up back to positive. And it's been like the most tilting experience of my life, just to like look and just see loss. Like an MLB, for the most part, I know what the future holds, at least. I guess I could say that, because I'm like a pro level handicapper in baseball, where like if you tailed me from start to finish of a year, like since 2019 when I started, like I've been profitable. So I'm less tilted by that. And I'm sure Nick is the same way, but opposite, where he's NHL. So I'd like to hear his opinion. But like I get more tilted at NHL losses than I do MLB, because I know MLB is such a long season that I'm so profitable that a couple bad beats, it'll bounce my way eventually.
Yeah, I think so. There's a bit of both though, because I have so much, like I feel like the NHL, I have more pressure where I really hate, like I think the worst thing is when you know a lot of people are tailing, even if no one says anything. I just hate when I know a lot of people are tailing and the pick loses. Like that's the worst, when I happen to have like a lot of interaction. And like I think that's almost worse than monetary value in a way. When I first started writing for Action, I was like, didn't want to play my picks, not because I thought they were bad, but I just wanted to be right so damn bad. Like I didn't have like the reputation built up that I knew what I was doing and stuff. So I feel that a little bit with baseball, especially because like last year I had a bad year, but I asked to join the team because I knew what I was doing. Like I was, at a similar level. I think baseball, the thing that's the worst is there's so many that are just like raw numbers plays. And when they go bad, I guess this is the kind of same with the NHL, but when they go bad, they just look so dumb. And I think you could probably attest Zerillo to that too, because he's just like, he's dialed in, he's modeling it, he knows what he's doing. But there's some games where it just goes so wrong, and then you you feel so stupid. But it's like my dad had told me that this was the play. So I think that's kind of one of the differences, even if I guess that's kind of the same as the NHL in a way.
It's like, for me, it's like almost, I don't know. I'm trying to weigh like the walk of the bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth with a 3-run lead and then they blow it versus the NHL blow the 3-1 lead, losing overtime or maybe losing the 5th round of the shootout. Like what the mental capacity is to just handle what, like, I can't figure out which is worse. Like,
well, you know what? Like, the one complaint that I didn't say that is a big one, and I think actually is almost worse in baseball, is if you don't like split a unit on the NHL and you go like betting on a guy to score a goal or betting on over 2.5 shots, and then you end up on the wrong one when your thought the whole time was just that someone would kind of be involved and get chances. Like they end up with a goal on 2 shots, or they end up with 2 goals on 2 shots, and somehow you manage to lose whichever one you had. That sucks. And I think that can be almost worse in MLB, like when you're debating between like home run, RBI, total bases, double, like whatever. And it just feels like sometimes you're always on the wrong one and you're like, what is going on? And then you split them, and then that's the day you hit like
it's
just
that
one.
That's how I feel about first 5 and full game, where it's like I'll have like a fucking like a week where every first 5 money line hits, but then the bullpens blow the leads. And so then I'm like, all right, I'm going to trust more first 5s in the starting rotations. And then the whole script just flips on me. And then I have full game money lines or first 5 where the pitchers stink. And then the back end, they come back and win. Like it's a similar thing where it's just like, sometimes you're just sitting there and it's a blender. And I think the blender can get worse in baseball. Well, at least for me, because there, like you said, a lot of pressure. Like it does mount up, and then you're like, I mean, people follow me for college basketball and baseball, not because my NHL picks are literally just adding you or like something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop doing that. You always steal my loser stuff. I don't want to listen.
So basically what it comes down to for me as well is like, maybe it's because I work here. So I mean, I'm in it more than a lot of like casual people who just talent like expert bets, but I understand like so much of why you got there and like how you got there. Like I understand why the Blackhawks were a good bet last night, so I'm not angry. Like I get it. Like I basically what a lot of time happens is I wake up and I know how both of you handicap by now, and I'm like, okay, Nick's probably going to say something about, you know, whoever's playing the Flames. We're probably going to look to whoever's playing Anaheim. We want them to, someone, you know, shots on goal for anyone who's playing against Anaheim. And then we're going to look at maybe someone we can get closing line value at on the night before. And like, and then you just fill in who it is. And I'm like, okay, got it. Here we are. So like, maybe I understand more, but the blindly just like giving you guys a hard time. I mean, there's just, I don't understand how brutal that could be on you, and I don't ever want to be that person.
I think it's funny coming from you though, and you're never, you know, like I think when it's your buddies, sometimes I kind of like the roast, and I know that no one's like seriously lost meaningful money. When like I think at that point it is humorous, where it's just like, why the hell are we on the Blackhawks? Like I don't get it.
Yeah, you know what I'm more upset, and I'm not like right, like I tell Nick, and we have this running joke right now in our group chat that like every bet Nick makes that I tail loses, but every bet he makes that I don't tail wins, and it's like a really like harsh number right now. If you ever want to make profit, bet against everything I tail on Nick, and then bet everything Nick bets that I don't tail. But anyway, except for saves against the Flames, which now the season's over, you can't really do that. But I will say, like, and this is the thing that annoys me about people that like chirp all the time. And Nick, I don't know if you agree, but like, I have money on the game too. I'm pissed just like you. Like, you don't understand. Like, I probably have more money than you have bet on that game. So it's like, it's just like, why are you spending the time to like DM me on Twitter and Instagram when all my picks are free? I'm not charging you. When like I'm just as pissed because I probably had more money than you did on this game. Or even if you had more than me, it's like you chose to tail my free picks. Like it's not like I'm giving you and being like, here's $50 a month. Like give me $50 a month and I'll give you winners. Like I'm just me, and that's like the most annoying tilting thing. I don't mind like Tim giving me shit. I don't mind Nick giving me shit. It's like the random people is like where it is the most. Like Tim, I honestly like you never post in the group chat, and I know that it's more like a you want to be angry because you're angry over a bet that we gave out, but like sometimes we just need a little lighthearted like Tim chirp because I don't know, at least for me, like I'm hard on myself. Like I'm extremely hard on myself. So if I have a bad day, like I'm pissed. And I know Nick is pretty similar where it's like, all right, time to like sulk and like go hang out with our girlfriends or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like the way Nick posts that in the chat all the time. And I'm like the same way. It's just like, it's like I have to go sulk with my girlfriend. Like I'm getting off, like not watching the rest of the saves. Like, and I'm like, I need like Tim to just like say something. Like, cause like, you are funny with it, not like where you don't like I have like a list of people on my Twitter and Instagram DMs that like go at my life, but like I don't need to be told to kill myself like by like some random dude when like you're just like gonna give me unneeded shit. You know what I mean?
Well, and there's some things like those are the worst one is people who just don't get how it actually works, where it's like anyone who's really good, even someone who's insane, is only gonna win at like a kind of a reasonable level. And they're going to have some downswings in a season. So it's the worst when you can go on and just see people like chirping you that clearly have no idea. And then you just have to be like, okay, well, whatever. He's kind of an idiot. And I even have a friend who kind of like makes fun of those a little bit. He has like a burner and he comments on my post, but like I know it's him. And it'll be like, I bet my house on this, like that kind of stuff. And I think it's funny. But yeah, if someone.
If it's lighthearted.
Well,
I think it's hilarious from the right people. College people, I find like, I don't know if college fans are like more proud or it's that more people think they know what they're doing, but it seems like you and like Stucky and those guys, I know Stucky kind of brings it on too, but it seems like fans are just way more aggressive. Like people are way more likely to just be like, you're a complete idiot. Whereas like mine, it'll be like a cold spell and someone's just like chirps like a little bit.
Yeah, because it's like a personal slight
like
when you're betting against like college teams. I feel like a little more. My thing with you guys is when you guys start going off about shit, and I'm like, you guys have been doing this for so long. You've seen it all. Charlie, what did you think was going to happen when we bet the Blackhawks and the Coyotes? What did you think was going to happen? Like, why waste your breath on that? Like, why waste your breath on that? What did you think was going to happen when you looked down and you said, yes, tonight is a good night to bet the two teams that have zero interest in trying to win? And you're like, can you believe it? It's like, dude, I thought you were at this every night. Have you seen it? What?
Oh, I think it's more like when you're on like when I'm on like a mini cold spell and I'm just like, it's like shooting a hot dog down a hallway, bro. Like you don't know what's gonna hit. Like it's just I'm like, all right, at least I'm gonna get one. Like I bet enough. Like it's like baseball. Like you bet enough 200 underdogs, like you're gonna hit a handful, especially if you know what you're doing. And I like would like to think that like the people that I trust, like Nick, like I see Evan Abrams on a side, like I'll tell him. Like I see people that I trust, like I expect like a higher percent, like at least one to hit. Not like I didn't expect like the Blackhawks, the Coyotes, and like etc. Like not every night.
I've seen Zerillo say it like 5 times last baseball season, where he was just like on some like plus 240 team, and he would just put in the most like obvious, clear terms because some people don't seem to get it, and just be like, I'm saying that this team is going to win like 37% of the time.
Right.
This price says they're going to win 31% of the time. That's what we're getting at here. Like, don't expect to win this bet every time. Like, that's not the whole point. But some people don't get that, and I think that's like the number one thing you see on Twitter. Or like
some people it's this guy right here. What do you mean some people?
I log every single I log like every single punt, parlay, and long shot goal score on my action record, and never put like plus or on like minus 200s or anything. And then that's the other one people chirp about is like, look at the record. And it's like, what do you mean the record? Like, this isn't talking about the Bruins and like the regular season. Like, this is about making money. So that
is the dumbest thing
one
ever.
that is. And you get, I've seen that a lot. Like, you see that always on people like handicappers, and I'm like, what? But that's, I mean, the second someone says that, you know, they're like so out of touch that it doesn't even matter, because you're just like, okay, I just gotta throw it out the window. But
I don't.
That's a dead giveaway, non-starter. for that one. What Charlie?
I don't expect to win the bets, but I'm like hopeful that I'll win one. And then
You wrote a fucking essay. What do you mean?
Okay, that Blackhawks game, if you had a pair of eyes and a brain, the Blackhawks should have won. Like they were up 2-1, have a breakaway on the other side. The guy, I can't even pronounce his last name, Anesthesia. I don't fucking know. Like he's going through the legs and shit, and he can't score. And then they have a wide open net. Johnny Taves gets it. I'm like, oh, this is picture perfect. The veteran puts it away in what could be his final game as a Blackhawk or one of the final games of the Blackhawk. And then like right down the other end, it's like a breakaway on a shorthanded goal, and Minnesota scores. And I'm like, I've never, like, you know what it is I expect to have a bounce every once in a while, a bounce my way. And you know what, Tim? I mean, you're 3-16 in your last 19. You don't get no bounces, and I need a bounce.
The Chicago Blackhawks are quite literally the best team in the league at not getting bounces. Like, that is what they've been doing.
If I bet a favorite,
team at losing.
But if I bet the Bruins tonight,
if they finish dead last, that's one for us. That's a big one.
Yeah.
So at least it didn't go to overtime.
If I had bet the Boston Bruins to win tonight, right? I'm not going to bet them tonight against the Capitals, but if I bet them against the Capitals tonight and laid the juice, I'd lose. If I bet the Penguins minus 500, I'd lose. And that's that simple.
I get it. I don't get it.
It's blindfolded. It's like pin the tail on the donkey, and I'm just trying to find a winner. That's what I'm doing in the NHL slate tonight.
God.
Go Jets. Jets. Jets.
Make sure you let me know what you have after that inspiring speech there, Charlie.
I just killed your picks.
Right now.
I told your picks if you want to buy out.
I was just gonna say I gotta figure out which ones you follow and get out of those positions. Especially Winnipeg, because they're now minus 110. So, you know, that's the worst possible sign. You know, the closing line value, that's like saying we're about to lose and that I'm gonna be in the chat telling you why it was a good pick, even though it didn't work out.
See, minus 110s, bitch all you want. Plus 205s, can't bitch.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. I'll make note.
As we wrap up here, Nick, any Stanley Cup predictions? I'll ask you. I guess this will be my first question. Nick, Bolts or Leafs?
Leafs.
Who's gonna win the Metro?
Just out of the bracket or the rest of the playoffs?
Because isn't it not clinched yet in the regular season, or did it come down?
Yeah, so time? Devils can still win it. I don't think they will. Carolina's, I think, probably gonna win tonight. I think the Devils could come out of the bracket though in the playoffs. I think the Devils are pretty damn good if Vanacek doesn't fall apart, which is possible.
What two teams get in the East in the two wildcard spots?
Pittsburgh and Florida. I think Leibow's Isles I think they screwed up because that point they can't get that back. And I mean, Pittsburgh's got the Hawks and Columbus.
Yep.
So
and if they can't clean that up, then they don't deserve to get it.
Yeah, Leiboff looked at it, and it's so a parlay of everything that needs to happen for the Owls to have no chance is plus 205. If you were to bet like Pens tonight, Pens next game, Florida next game. And I told him do it. But then he was like, well, the problem is the Isles could lose to Montreal. And I was like, yeah. But if they're going to lose to Montreal at home in game 82, they shouldn't go to the playoffs either. So
exactly. Who are the last two wildcard teams in the West? Who gets in?
Oh my God. If Nashville gets in, it's going to screw me on a lot of bets. But it's got to be Winnipeg. So Seattle's in. So it's just Winnipeg. They need 1 point, right, which is partly why I think tonight in Minnesota.
And then I'll ask you this: Stanley Cup. Who gets out of the East? Who gets out of the West?
Okay, I'll go a little out there on the West. I think Edmonton's my favorite right now, but I still think a healthy Colorado's scary. But it just seems like healthy Colorado's not gonna be a thing this year. And then on the East, I guess I'll have to pick Boston. I don't know.
Rangers.
I don't know if I'd want to, I wouldn't bet it, but I think Boston. But less of the time than probably people might expect is what I'm going to say. I think they're walking more of a fine line when they get in a series with like Toronto or New York or New Jersey than people might expect. But who knows? I've thought that all year. So
yeah, it's gone well. And so what do you think, Oil over Bruins then?
no, I would like Boston's chances in that, I think. And the one take that I'm seeing so many people say is like the West is, whoever comes out of the West is just gonna have a cakewalk. But I think the problem with that logic is like, are you saying that team's gonna sweep every team on the way there? Because either like they're gonna play easier teams, but I don't think the series are gonna be like less of a grind, if you know what I mean. Like I don't think they're gonna get there like untaxed. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that logic like holds as much merit as like people think when they say like it's a dogfight, because it's like, well, the other side's still gonna be a dogfight. Like I think the teams are close. It's not like they're just gonna be like sweep. So
I tend to agree.
see. It's so random. Like that's the number one point I love to make about the NHL playoffs is like there's so many of these series that come down to like one bounce. Like and you've played, like you know how it goes when it's like it comes down to like one mistake where you're just, or like even maybe not even a mistake, just like a point shot getting tipped in or something. And then that decides a whole 7-game series. And all the analysts are like 5 arguments about what happened. And it's like, well, like, I guess you're right. Like kind of though, they just got the right variance at the right time. Was a
pretty they took it too many men at the worst time. Like that's like what it does come down to a lot. But and again, goaltending, hot goaltending. You saw the Flames, they had Markstrom in the playoffs last year. He all of a sudden turned into a pumpkin against the Oilers. Like even good goaltending can go sour as well. Charlie, as a NHL expert yourself, who do you have in the Cup final?
New York Rangers, and let's see, West Coast. I'll agree. My brother's on the Oilers, so since the Flames are not in the West, I'll go. Or they're not in the playoffs. I'll go with the Oilers. Oilers winning. McDavid gets the championship.
And what
about you?
I agree. I have a future on the Oilers, and I love it. I doubled down again at the deadline. I'm all in on the Oil. I think the Oilers beat the Bruins in the Stanley Cup, and it's just gonna be tragic for the Bruins. Tragic.
Way to copy an NHL expert, Nick Martin, right there.
The worst part though is the Oilers. Like I still, and that's another one for as soft as people say the West is. I actually think the Kings are really good. Like I would actually rate the Kings over a lot of teams in the West that I think people would be surprised to hear. But
those are my two West futures: are the Oilers and the Kings.
Yeah, I have the Kings at a super long number too, and I'm just pissed that they're actually going to meet in round 1. Because I think there was such a good chance if they didn't, that both of them win a series, and then you're looking at like round 2 being like, all right, we're getting one of them to round 3. But
yep,
anyways.
I know. Well done, gentlemen.
This was fun.
This
was
good
fun. Stuff. We'll have to do a mid playoff complaint one.
Yeah. No, well, the Flames aren't going to be in it, so it's okay. Well done, gents. We'll wrap it up. Be sure to follow Charlie in the Action app at Charlie DiSturco. Nick, you're Nicholas K. Martin in the app?
Yes, I think so. I got to change it to just Nick.
Yes, you are.
If you can after the fact.
And I am, don't follow me in the Action app, but follow me on Twitter at TimmyCal12. Follow Charlie on Twitter at Charlie DiSturco. Nick, what's your Twitter?
Nick M_hockey.
Beautiful. And thank you for tuning in to Gamblin and Ramblin. Stanley Cup playoffs around the corner. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your week. It's a great time of year, everybody.